person to the Planning Commission, also District 1 alderperson. And I am filling in for Mayor Blazer, who is absent tonight. So Kyle, you want to go through roll?
Sure, thank you. Again, Mayor Blazer is absent. Ryan Austin is present. Lee Tao is excused. Eric Dobbin.
Here.
Ben Gaudreau.
Present.
He's here. Thad Kubishak.
Here.
Jeff Marutz.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Thank you.
All right, item number 1 is approval of the report from August 31st, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. What are the commission's wishes?
I motion to approve the. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor respond with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to item 2. Be Plan 23-000784, Aspirus Riverview Hospital, request for a plan development district amendment to modify the existing plan development district boundary at 1041 Hill Street, parcel ID 3408444. Kyle?
Thanks. I'm going to let Carrie introduce this item.
Thank you, Alder Austin and members of the Planning Commission. And for item number 2, Aspirus Riverview Hospital is requesting a plan development district amendment to modify the existing plan development district boundary at 1041 Hill Street. And I just want to point out the map on the screen right now shows the extension of that boundary, and it's an eastward extension into a parcel that they also own. And these are some site photos of that parcel. This is the existing medical office that's located at that 1041 Hill Street address. And the picture in the north, in the upper right-hand corner, shows this kind of around where that extension will take place. And so just for some background, Aspirus Riverview Hospital, they're proposing the amendment, as I said, of the Plan Development District. The new boundary of the amended PDD correlates to a lot line adjustment that has just been under administrative review and has been approved, and it's a 22.6 foot lot line adjustment, so just a very slight lot line adjustment to make lot 1 a little bit bigger, and lot 2 will become a little bit smaller. Both of those parcels still meet all the lot requirements, and they are both owned by Aspirus Riverview. The lot 2 parcel is zoned R2, and it does meet standards. So the proposal is also consistent with the 2002 Aspirus neighborhood plan. When the hospital was undergoing some pretty substantial expansion and development, there was a neighborhood plan that gave specific considerations for future development and proposals, and this is well within the guidelines that were established within that plan. It also brings lot 1 into conformity, as the building is fairly close to that lot line, and it doesn't reduce any conformity on the lot 2 site because the existing structure is centrally located within that lot. So standards of review for the PDD amendment, the proposed changes have been determined to be minor in nature, but they are major from a review standpoint, given that there is a boundary adjustment involved. And I also want to note on the agenda, it's not indicated that this is a public hearing item, but this is a public hearing item and was noticed as such. The adjustment is consistent with the original plan and intent of the PDD 1 Riverview district and meets the overall planning vision of the area. And this just outlines the section from our Chapter 11 zoning that gives the standard procedural requirements for an amendment to the Plan Development District. So staff would recommend approval with conditions. One being that minor or major alterations to the Plan Development District shall be pursuant to Section 110536 of the zoning ordinance, and that was on the preceding slide. Number 2, the proposal has been determined to be a major alteration and can be approved by the Common Council at a regular meeting. And then 3, approval is contingent upon recordation of the associated lot line adjustment. And again, that boundary, the 22.6 feet adjustment to the east correlates with the boundary adjustment and why that there's a proposed PDD amendment. And I will turn it back over to the commission.
Thank you, Carrie. So we're going to treat item 2 and item 4 tonight as public hearings to get some public feedback here. So we're going to move to that portion. I'm going to call out 3 times for those to speak in favor of this plan and 3 times to speak against. So for the first time, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of Plan 23-000784? Please state your name and address.
I don't understand exactly what, I mean, you talk very nice, Carrie, but your language is not my language. Bottom line, what exactly are they trying to do?
Sure. So the parcel on the corner of Hill Street and Dewey Street, I believe it's a dialysis clinic right now. Okay. So that parcel. Oh, physical therapy. Okay. Okay. But I believe both buildings are located on that corner parcel.
Not real, well, depends upon how you do it. There's a driveway in between. So is that one parcel or 2 parcels?
So on the screen, that parcel is a pretty large parcel, and I believe both buildings are located on that parcel, but we can pull up the GIS map. On Lot 2, there's a home right now that's on that parcel. It's a residence.
Where on the,
So Dewey,
what,
it's quite a long stretch of road along Dewey Street.
I know that.
Okay,
Where
so.
are you talking and the home is located?
So the home is located, I walked down that street, so it's a walk quite a ways, but along Dewey, it's the first residence that you'd see if you just kept walking from Hill along Dewey. And it's a
Going
smaller,
Up the hill,
along Dewey Street.
going up the hill.
I don't remember if it was an incline or
Oh,
not,
boy.
but,
All right, going up, if you are now going into another lot, you're going, that's the one where Dr. Gertler used to be. I know.
Okay.
Is that where you're trying to expand it?
if you continue along Dewey, it's a house, it's a home.
Yes, there is, there's a home next to
Okay.
Gertler's.
Sure.
It's a private home right now.
If you look behind you, you'll see a map
Cool, where?
up above. There's a little blue
You think There's a
highlighted,
reason why I can't see it?
there's a blue highlighted strip of land.
Right,
That area will become part of the clinic to the left.
that's all that's gonna be changed?
Correct.
So
It's a-
we can't, they're adding area to the property, and
My question would be, before you go any further, they own, see where that word subdivision is?
Yes.
They own that now. Why are
Correct.
we dealing with a piece of land between the two? Are you telling me there's a piece of land between the two that don't belong to them?
they're creating a piece of land so that they can add it to the left lot, so that the building meets the setback. And because they want to conform to that setback. So that's, the only thing that it's going to impact is their own property.
Excuse me, my name is Mary Walski. I live across from the building you're talking about.
Can you approach the podium too, please?
If I've got you correct, you're talking about what they want to do is you have the physical therapy building, then you have the kidney dialysis building. They want to cut 22.6 feet into that woods just before the building that the hospital has put up for sale, so that they're going to be selling that building with less land than what it originally had?
So all we're talking about is parcel lines. So there'll be no wood cutting, there'll be no development.
No,
They're
no.
just basically creating a small sliver of land out of what they currently have and transferring it from one property to the other.
Right, so they're going to be selling the property across from me is the one that's for sale. And that, it's a Lannistone building, it used to be a dentist's
Yep.
office. And that one, so they're going to be making that one, selling that one with less and taking some land off of the bottom part of the hill where the trees are?
And adding it to their current clinic property.
Okay.
Yes. And we cannot, there's two separate zoning, so privately held property has a zoning classification. And right now, if they add it to their clinic property, you'll have two zoning for one parcel. So right now, we have to add this little sliver to their current planned development district zone. And that's what this request and public hearing is for.
And that falls back to when they changed the zoning when the hospital, when Gertler had it changed.
But you use the term private. Are you considering the hospital private property?
It's not city-owned, so yes. Zoning is an invisible layer over all property in the city that regulates land use.
Okay, so what they're doing is they're robbing for Peter to pay Paul, so that they can keep a larger amount for themselves.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that because
Well, you can-
the dialysis center is tight against that property.
Yes, you can see the current orange line runs right up next to that building. And so they want to have a little more buffer between that building so that it meets the current property setbacks and so forth. And so this is the process by which they have to go through to basically carve out that little area, transfer it to themselves to have a larger kind of buffer between.
And I'm
But the-
sorry, Carrie, you confused us when you said it was a private home, because the home next to what the hospital is selling is a private home. So we thought they were cutting out a
Oh, one
bigger-
more parcel
more
over. You mean,
parcel
I
over,
see, I
yes.
see, yeah.
You were walking up the hill.
Right.
Like,
Oh, I see, I
So
see.
you're talking about the Lannistone building that is one level,
I-
not
I
the one
don't-
that's two level? or-
I honestly, I don't remember the structure. I don't remember the structure that well that's on that building. I mean, that's on that site.
Yeah, you had us a bit confused, but I understand now.
Hopefully the map depicts kind of
Right.
what's going on there.
It makes.
With the
I'm just-
request.
But I understand, I think Mary hit the nail on the head when she said that we know that they put a sign up to sell Gertler's building, or I think at one time it was an accounting building or something, and it looks like they're trying to sell it, and they want to, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, I'll call again. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this plan?
I'm Josh Prentice with REI Engineering, 4080 North 20th Ave, Wausau. Thank you, Carrie and Kyle, for your explanation. I want to make one clarification, though. The lot line's only moving 15 feet. It's 22.6 feet from the edge of the building to where the proposed property line is.
Oh, okay.
So it's really just a minor adjustment. But outside of that, you guys did a wonderful job. So I'm here to answer any questions if anybody has any further.
Any questions? Okay, I'll ask for a third and last time. Anyone that wants, is there anyone that would wish to speak in favor of this plan? Is there anyone that wishes to speak against this plan? Anyone that wishes to speak against this plan? And lastly, is there anyone that wishes to speak against Plan 23-000784? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing side. Commission, questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve Plan 23-000784 as presented with staff recommendations.
And I'll
Second.
Go ahead. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor, respond with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to item 3, Rapids rediscovered grant requests for 851 Gardner Street, parcel ID 3402985, and 5 unaddressed parcels, parcel IDs 3405230, 3405231, 3405232, 3405233, and 3405234. Kyle?
Again, we'll ask Carrie to give you a summary of the request.
All right, thank you, Alder Austin and commission members. So this is a Rapids Rediscovered grant request for 6 properties. And all properties are zoned R2 district. The first one is in a different location, so I'm just going to cover that one separately, and then the remaining 5 I'll cover together, just because they're all adjacent. So the property is zoned mixed residential R2 district. It's currently vacant, and the grant application is for $5,000 of grant funds for construction of a duplex rental on site. And duplexes are permitted use in the R2 district. And I just want to note that the dimensional standards will be under review administratively within the department. This request is just for the grant funds for the proposal. It's a little difficult to read, and I apologize, but it's a site plan and elevations for the property. It's a little bit difficult lot. It's pretty narrow and difficult to develop on. So just to note that. But this would be a duplex, kind of just a mirrored duplex on site. And the 5 unaddressed properties are also zoned R2. They are also vacant. I would like to note that there's a wetland identification report that was approved by Wisconsin DNR and was completed for the properties. And these grant applications are also for $5,000 each for the construction of duplex rentals on site. And again, this is a permitted use in the district. So this is an elevation, and, well, these are all elevations. One is just colored elevation. I want to note there is a clause in the standards that state that the dominance of any attached garage should be minimized, and that garages that face the street shall not be located at the front lot line than that of the principal building facade. Under staff's review, we don't feel like the garage dominated the appearance any more than any standard single-family home. So we didn't feel like, just from an overarching standpoint, that this was in violation of this standard. There are requirements for architectural enhancements, and so we have requested from the applicant some enhancements, just because what was submitted is pretty plain in nature. And so just for some analysis, the Rapids Rediscovered Grant Program was created to encourage investment in construction of new homes in transitional neighborhoods. These definitely are. This is urban infill, and they're somewhat difficult lots to develop, so they definitely meet that criteria. The objectives include creating new quality housing stock, removing blight, and strengthening neighborhoods. And the new construction, of course, would increase the tax base and does strengthen the neighborhood. And just to note, the applicant is to receive grant funds for duplexes that will be constructed as a rental. And recently, the guidelines were expanded to include duplexes and rental properties, so that all meets the current guidelines. So there are both application and program requirements under this grant, and there's house design and site development requirements. Under the application and program requirements, we do have a complete application. The project is expected to be complete in spring of '24, and the applicant does already own the property. So the financial requirements are all in order. In terms of house design and site development, again, staff did note that there are some architectural standards. The requirements do ask for some enhancements to the facades, and we would like to see more of that incorporated. There's pretty simple landscaping requirements. I believe it's 2 shade trees in the front yard, and then just that the yard is seeded, so we were able to add conditions related to that. And then again, dimensional standards will all be verified as part of the typical, when we receive building plan requirements. So staff's recommending approval with conditions. I just want to note, condition 4 is just, there's a typo, so this would be the recommended text, and it's very similar. It's just, there's a typo in there. So revised elevations shall be submitted to include exterior enhancements, subject to review and approval of the Community Development Department staff. Finished exterior materials must be low maintenance and durable. A minimum of 2 shade trees shall be installed within the front yard. The project shall include the required grass seeding and tree installation within 1 year of approval. And then zoning district dimensional standards shall be met along with associated development standards and supplemental use standards. And I will turn, so just in summary, 6 applications for $5,000 each lot. So a total of $30,000. And I will turn it back over to the commission.
Right, can I?
Thank you, Carrie. Go ahead.
Just want to add, to provide a little bit of context here. This program was created with about $40,000 of developer funding for, there was a senior housing project over here behind Centralia, and we require a certain amount of dollars, like in lieu of parks and so forth, for multifamily developments. We took those dollars back in 2018 and we created this program. This program was geared towards new housing within infill areas or the raising of dilapidated housing and then the construction of new housing. It was for single-family uses and it had to be owner-occupied. As Carrie mentioned, a few months ago, we amended the program because nobody accessed it for the 3 years that it existed. And I think there was some interest by about a half a dozen individuals if we would remove the single-family requirement, permit duplexes, and if we would permit rental units. So council did approve that amendment. So again, as we note, we have several requests in front of us that we feel as though do what the program was intended for, and will create new value within those neighborhoods. And lastly, I do want to recommend, or want to note that Plan Commission is a recommending body to Common Council. So after you make a recommendation, these requests will have to go to Common Council for final approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Questions, comments by commission?
I just had a question about remaining funds. Is this kind of a first come, first serve, or how does that work with if others are interested as well?
So yes, it is a first come, first served basis. I think if these are approved and/or if we provide at a later date the remaining about $8,000 to $10,000 worth, we could go back to Common Council and request additional funds. But I think they'd probably want to see, what areas of the city and if there's still a need and necessity. And I personally think there would be for additional funds. But granted that this is really the first applicant that's actually making a larger request, we don't really have a basis yet in terms of the success of the program because we haven't had any applicants up to this point.
Yeah, I think it's a great program, and I think if we run out of funds, we believe the council would approve some more to get some more housing needed in the community.
Any other questions, comments by commission?
I just want to note lastly, for the record, that, and Carrie alluded to this, we did a housing study back in 2017, and it recommended several dozens of single-family homes, hundreds of multifamily units, and we have not even come close to injecting those within the community. So like many other communities across the state and the nation, I think we definitely have a housing crisis. And this is a way that we're able to develop some of our existing neighborhoods, add value to those neighborhoods, and meet that housing need within the community.
Thank you, Kyle. What are commission's wishes?
Do we do a public hearing?
No, that's item 4.
Oh, sorry. Then I will make a motion to approve the grant request for 851 Gardner Street and the 5 unaddressed parcels as listed, with staff recommendations on all.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I do just want to note that the applicant is in the audience if the commission had any questions or if Shane did want to provide any feedback.
You're welcome to speak if you like, Shane.
I think everything's been touched on. I think,
You want to just come up, state your name and address, please.
get me up here in the front. Yeah, I think everything's been touched on. I think, if you guys remember, I was back here probably a little over a year ago, and we had built a handful of duplexes, 5 of them on 3rd Street there. One thing that I've been trying to do here locally is building duplexes that, trying to keep the rents low. We build a lot of duplexes in Saratoga and Plover and Point. It seems like those rental rates are getting $1,200, $1,300, $1,500 a month, and this was an opportunity on this chunk of land that we had built on we were able to keep our rents. I think we're about $800 a month per unit. So we had the ability to basically buy all the land across the street. And then when the program came up, you know, I was able to get that delineation. It was all kind of wetlands, and we got the delineation and stuff done. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to basically build exactly what we built across the street. So, you know, again, trying to add more rental units, but I think a key point is, you know, trying to make them affordable for the local people here in town, and not trying to build stuff that's overly big and you know, trying to commence, you know, $1,300-1,400 a month. So, yeah, I think the program is great. When I heard about it, you know, so if there's any concern on, you know, it's definitely more than one application, but I think, you know, I do have quite a track record, I think, in Rapids with building quite a few rentals and stuff. So the idea of getting, you know, 5-6 buildings done is not something that would be an issue on our end. So if there was any concern on that, so, okay?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
And I'll say I appreciate your interest in the program and providing a much-needed resource in our community. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor, respond with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Moving on, item 4, Plan 23-000907, City of Wisconsin Rapids, public hearing on a request to amend Chapter 11 zoning, specifically Appendix C, zoning districts and dimensional standards, modifying floor area requirements for residential districts. Kyle?
Thank you, Ryan. So as a reminder, we do have a public hearing on this one as well, as it is an ordinance amendment of the zoning code. So for a while now, Carrie and I have questioned and looked at our minimum dwelling unit sizes. This is for all of our residential districts within the zoning code, from rural residential all the way up to our high-density multifamily district. And many of the requirements, as the memo indicates, we feel as though are somewhat high, and I think that's because they carried over from the previous zoning code, and they're more traditional of your, you know, 70s and 80s, you know, 1,200 square foot ranch, 2 or 3 bedroom ranch, versus, you know, what we're finding today with smaller housing units and dwelling sizes. I think you're starting to see efficiency apartments, smaller 1-bedroom apartments become more common within communities. I think also from a density per acre standpoint, if we're serving these properties and we have, you know, smaller lot sizes and so forth, or if a developer that's doing a multifamily housing complex can have more units, again, I think we're meeting more of a need for housing within the community, as well as, again, increasing that value per acre on a denser development. So with that being said, we did some research and found out what other communities have done within the area, and some of their sizes for, you know, a single-family unit or house ranged from the lowest we found was 450 for the city of Wapaka to about an average of 800 or 900 per square feet, 900 square feet for like a single-family home. And some communities still had the, you know, the 1,200 square feet or, you know, 1,000 square feet for a duplex. I think, in summary, we were more on the high side of that. So again, I think it's somewhat detrimental for us, especially if we're pushing some of these infill developments, if we want to see multifamily in our downtowns on some dense property, that we amend our standards and ensure that we're meeting that need within the community with those reduced housing sizes. So you'll find that amendment shaves a little bit off the minimum square feet for a single-family home, a duplex, and for multifamily dwelling unit. And then we do account for a 600 square foot efficiency unit, which again, right now, our code doesn't account for. For example, if somebody wanted to come in and build multifamily, they could not build an efficiency unit within our code. Even a 1-bedroom would have to be a minimum of 800 square feet, and I think that's a pretty good sized 1-bedroom apartment. So So again, I think this will meet a need within the community. I think it's fitting for the community, and it aligns with others that are doing the same to meet the housing crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions, comments by commission? Hearing none, what are commission's wishes?
Public hearing?
Oh, sorry.
I got it this time.
Good call. We're going to go to the public hearing. So I will call it 3 times for those who want to speak in favor of this amendment to Chapter 11 zoning, and 3 times against. So starting off with in favor, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of Plan 23-000907, amendment to Chapter 11 zoning, specifically Appendix C, zoning districts and dimensional standards? Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor? And for a third and last time, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of Plan 23-000907? Hearing none, we'll go to against. Is there anyone that would like to speak against Plan 23-000907? Anyone that would like to speak against this plan? And for a third and last time, is there anyone that would like to speak against Plan 23-000907? Hearing none, now we'll go to commission's wishes.
I motion to approve the 23-000907.
We have a motion, and I'll second.
Ryan?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Just have one other comment. We don't currently define efficiency unit or apartment within our ordinance. So I think, if this amendment moves forward, we may come back and define that, and also take a look at our lot size requirements along with this moving forward.
Thank you, Kyle. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All in favor, respond with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Looks like the ayes have it. All right, on to item 5, adjournment. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, respond with aye.
Aye.
All right, have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.